What's up, folks? I'm JC Owens, and this is Rock My World, episode 39, The Safety Swindle. Now, we've talked about, how the powers that be like to use the things that you're scared of to, push you into doing what they want you to do, right? And if you've been paying attention to the news lately, I'm sure you have been inundated with all of these, outbreak warnings and all this kind of stuff. You know, trying to scare the public to death about like, oh, well, your kids could get sick or you could get sick, and oh, it could be a complete like disaster and blah blah. Well, while these things could technically turn out to be a disaster, like whether it is or it isn't, the facts still remain that the powers that be will use this to expand the global technocracy and the digital mass surveillance and control network to go with it. We already saw a few years back like how the whole world went lockstep in the same direction, and this is going to be used to do the same thing. This goes right back to all of that health tracking, technology that they used back then. But now it's more advanced. They say that technology doubles every 18 months, and most people are aware of that, I think anyway. The thing that they're not aware of, though, is that there's another part to that. The fact that after a while, like this will start to speed up. It won't be every 18 months anymore. It'll be every year, and then it'll be every 6 months, and then it'll be every 3 months. And before you know it, technology will be advancing, week after week. This is the nature of how technology goes. Like now, there's entropy in all systems, so at some point this is going to, come to a screeching halt. At first it will start to taper off, like law of diminishing returns, and then it will come to a halt. Like there is a limit to how, far technology can take us, just as there's a limit to how far anything can take you. Right? Everything that has a beginning has an end. We've talked about all these things before. However, there's still a long way that we have yet to go as far as like what this technology is capable of. And we've already seen how they've used automated license plate readers and other forms of, facial identification technology, like through the CCTV cameras in the city. They use commercial data brokers, and all these kind of things to monitor our movements, where we go, who we're talking to. All this stuff was deployed in Afghanistan first, by the way. The global war on terror and the Patriot Act and all that, like that was the foundation of all of this, right? Like at least the main part of the foundation for it all. We tested it all over there, just like now, a lot of this technology is being fielded in places like Iran and Gaza. This is where a lot of this technology is being, proven to work. And if any of you were paying attention to my community post, you probably saw where I posted about the flock cameras. While flock is a really, invasive system, it is baby stuff compared to what they have in store. A lot of these flock systems are already being taken down in lieu of things that are much more accurate and, invasive. As I'd said in the post, after 2027, like it's likely most all cars will have a kill switch. They already have tracking on board, especially if you have something like OnStar or one of these other, systems that connect you to a satellite. Your car is being tracked everywhere you go. It's likely recording you when you're sitting in it. I know cars like Tesla tend to do this kind of stuff. Like they're so super high tech that they record almost everything that you do in them. Your phone is tracking you. The cameras in town, as I stated just a while ago, they're also tracking you. You have all these different things that are recording your location, and this wouldn't be as big of a problem if they weren't communicating with each other and giving the government access and to it. Government and law enforcement having access to all this aggregated data, as well as the AI brain to sort through it all, is incredibly dangerous to freedom and privacy. And all of this, this health fear mongering is part of that. It's part of this game. It's also part of the push for transhumanism. The editing of the human genome in order to create the Ubermensch, as the World War II Germans called it, right? Like, this Nietzschean Ubermensch, this idea that, like, putting humanity through stressors and then introducing biotechnology, gene editing, cybernetics, all this kind of stuff will allow them to, take over human evolution. Those who know me know I'm not a big proponent of evolution anyway. I've not seen enough evidence to prove that evolution is a thing. Evolution really isn't a problem for the orthodox position anyway, but, I digress. The fact of the matter is, like, they, as Noah Yuval Harari said, like, they want to take control of human evolution, the human evolution of the humans, and as he put it, they want to, create two very different groups of humans, right? Like, they already see, those of us who know, like, all of these inner secrets and stuff as being the elect, and, everyone else as the profane. Well, they intend to, cause that gap to, ever widen using technology and genetic engineering, right? It's right there in line with, that book, The Time Machine, where it talks about the Morlock and the Eloi. Well, the Morlock and the Eloi are just humanity in the future. If those of you who have read The Time Machine, spoiler alert, I guess, a little belated. But yeah, they're just humanity in the future, where humankind has went two different directions. One kind went with high technology, and the other side didn't, and thus the other side becomes like these troll-like beings that attack the high-tech people. You can kind of see, the global technocratic roots of all of this. Like, it's obvious where he got these ideas from. It's right in line with what they're actually doing now. And this is why I say, like, read those books in that reading list. Like, it gives you great amounts of insight into what the elite actually want to do. While some of these works would be, technically classified as fiction, like the Time Machine, like, they are nevertheless thought experiments about, like, the future and where they intended to take this. Like, just like all humans, like, if you're into something, you want to see movies and books and things, made about it, so you can, to help you visualize it and, get that immersion, that feeling of, yeah, this is going to happen one day, right? That's their thing. Like, not only that, but it also helps them preload the public, and so that the public doesn't freak out so much when it, comes out. This we've talked about before as well. The fact that, letting the public see these kinds of glimpses into the dystopian future helps people prepare and not, like, freak out when the things happen, because they've already had time to process it and come up with a game plan for what they want to do, which, obviously I'm a great advocate for planning for the future and trying to take the information we have to, make us better capable of surviving and thriving, in the system that is coming, as well as helping us defeat these people and their awful ideas. However, there's like all things, like, there's a flip side to that, right? There's always going to be that other edge of the sword that could cut you, right? You have to always take that into account, and this is no different. But I believe we'll stop it there for today, folks. just remember, like, don't let them, like, scare you into supporting these invasive, crazy, freedom-destroying ideas and systems. Like, that's really what it's about. Yes, people are going to get sick. Humans have always gotten sick. It's part of being human. It's part of it. But if you are, eating right and exercising, like I tell people to do all the time, you're taking care of yourself, the likelihood of you getting sick is quite low. That is, unless you're, really old and your, system's really super weak. But then again, if you're taking care of yourself when you were younger, the chances of, your system being stronger even when you're old is greater. Either way, folks, much love as always, and peace out.